Hello, functions. Okay, so don't forget, we are taking the test over Unit 2 functions. So function notation, domain and range, vertical line test, horizontal line test. What does that all mean? What kind of notation are we using? Interval notation, set notation, or register notation is another way to call it. So anyway, that is what we will be covering. Don't forget about composites. I have already posted in Pearson a unit to review. So there's that. There are 2 worksheets on the table next to my desk that go over domain, range, graphs, whether or not it's a function, and all of that. Also using tables and charts. I think it's tables and graphs. So I will have the keys posted for those in Canvas once I get home. I'll get that posted. I'll try to post that before I leave today. And then I will, so this was the warm up and what we were going to start with. So what I would like you to do is state the domain and range. So go ahead and hit pause. Just as a quick reminder, remember these are arrows. They're going to go forever. Let's see if I can draw them in. I wonder if I can. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then let me see. Okay, so I drew them in for you. All right, so go ahead and hit pause. I would like you to do that. This, remember, has a weird domain and range, and we will go over that. Okay, so remember when we're looking for a function, we don't want any of the x's to repeat. So as long as they don't repeat, then it's a function, because then if we were to graph that, that would pass the vertical line test, right? As long as none of the x's repeat. So this one we have an x2 here, a -2, a 3, a -1, and a 2. And if we were to graph that, it would look something like this. So 2, 3 would be somewhere around there. -2, 4 would be up here. 3, 5, -1, -1, and then we've got 2, -5. We'll do -5 down here. So if I were to draw a line right here, it would not pass the vertical line test. So this is not a function. And remember, to do domain, we can still do the domain. So because these are points and this is a discrete graph because they're just points, we're just going to list them. And then we don't have to repeat any that are on there. So -1 and then 2 is on there again, and I don't need to put that. And then the range would be the same notation. You want to use that register notation. Remember, if I give it to you in curly brackets, give it back to me in curly brackets. If it's just points, curly brackets, because we've got to list it because they're not connected. And so then we would just list all the y values. So 3, 4, 5, -1, -5. So none of those are repeated. And we have those on there. Okay, so now let's look at number 2. So are any of the x's repeated? So we've got 1, -1, nope, 5, that's different, -2, 3. So this one is a function. So yes, this would pass the vertical line test. Vertical line test, we would say no, doesn't pass. We'll put no pass, VLT. We checked it, but we didn't write it. Okay, so then to do the domain, you're going to list just like this one over here. We're going to list it. So we've got our domain is going to be 1, -1, 5, -2, and 3. And then the range is going to be the y values. So 4, 3, 3 has already been written, I don't need to write it again. 4 is already written, I don't need to write it again. And 5. So even though those y values are repeated, that's okay. One of the things I like to think of is y equals x squared. -2 and 2 both have the same y value, 4. So I like to think of that function, be like, oh wait, that's a function. My x's aren't being repeated, my y's are, and that's okay. Okay, this is mapping, so none of the x's. So basically I have to say if my x is 0, what is your y? 1. And as long as I only have one answer, that's okay. So -3 goes to just 9, 4 goes to 1, and 4 goes to -2. So no, not a function. And we could say the same thing, doesn't pass vertical line test. X's are repeated. I'll just write X's are repeated. Too many Y values. So here's a table. If we're looking at this table, we've got 3 here. There's -2, 2, 4. 3 is also 8. So then again, if I were to graph these points, I would have a point at 3, -2, which could be possibly here, and 3, 8. So up here. So right away, I can see that this does not pass the vertical line test. So it is not a function, and it doesn't pass the vertical line test. All right, this one is that weird one. This is a function. I'm sorry, this is not a function because it does not pass the vertical line test. See? So not a function for the same reason as that. I'm getting a little tired. Okay, so this is going to go forever. For the domain, it goes forever -infinity to oh, we didn't list the domains for these, sorry. The domain and range for this one, so that would also be set, that register notation. We're going to use curly brackets because it isn't every value. It's another discrete thing, so we're going to do 0, -3, 4, and 2. The range is going to be 1, -5, 9, and -2. So that's for this one. And then this one, the domain would be all of these values here, except you do not need to repeat the 3. And then the range are going to be all of these values here. Okay, so make sure you use that bracket notation, those curly brackets, when we have a list of things. When we are going to do one like this, where it goes from -infinity to infinity, it can never be, so the domain can never be infinity, and it never can, or -infinity, and it can't get to infinity. So then that is why we are using those curved brackets. And then the range is a little bit different. The range, we'll do the negative side first, and then we'll look at the positive. We're going to say that these are 1, and this is just crossing it close. We'll say 1.8. I don't know. We could say 2 if we wanted to. So we're going to say that the range is going to go from -infinity because it's going down forever, and it can't reach that. And then it's going to go all the way up, we'll say, to -1.8. So -1.8. But it does equal that because there's a line there. So we're going to use that bracket. And then we use that symbol that's in our on our computer, and then we're going to start, and we'll start at +1.8. So it's like it's jumping, and then it goes to infinity because it's going to go up forever. So remember, that's how we do those graphs. Most of the time in our homework, it'll look like this. So we'll have domain and ranges that have stuff like that, but this was a good reminder. And then this one, this does pass the vertical line test. This is a function. And then it is the domain, or our x values. Oops, sorry, the domain. So it is going forever negative this way and forever positive this way. So we are from -infinity to infinity, and we're going to use parentheses, and then the range, well, it's never going to get to 0, but it doesn't actually ever equal 0. So we're going to say the smallest possible value, so you always go bottom to top for range, is 0, but we're going to use a bracket. The lights just turned off in the classroom. And then we're going to go to infinity because it goes up forever. Okay, that is a quick review on domain, range, and vertical line test. I would like you to do the 2 worksheets that are on the front table up here, And let me see if I can get these lights to turn on. Okay, so I would like you to do those worksheets, work on your online homework. I should be back tomorrow, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.